pure pickle.
Did you grow up with the NES, PlayStation, Star Wars, cartoons, and 80s TV? Do you like to think who would win in a fight between Batman and the Master Chief? Comics, games, movies, music, and TV, they're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. Comics, games, movies, music, and TV, they're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. This Week in Geek. This Week in Geek.
Well, hello. Welcome to a sort of review show. This is actually more in line, I guess, with our Black Friday coverage. Now, in years previous, we have done a thing where we grab some of the bigger flyers and so on from the States and Canada to do some Black Friday sales coverage. This is like the hardest year to do that with, because it seems like every single website, every single store started their Black Friday deals like a week or two early, and they're just sort of continuing on. So you've pretty much probably been inundated with emails and people talking about, you know, what's out there. So we're not doing a traditional deals show like this. We're doing more something a little different, in that I've been sick for what felt like my entire life, but in reality was about a week and then a week of recovery. So the better part of November, I was mostly out of commission. And in that time, I had a hard time even like absorbing a lot of the media and doing stuff. So we've been sent so many things this year for gift guide consideration, for holiday guides and coverage and reviews and that. And we're very happy to it. It's just funny how it ended up being that, you know, we were sent a lot of stuff when Mike was sick in October, and then as I'm digging in and starting to do like some of the heavier games and movies and everything that we were sent that, you know, are more time commitments and or require more brain power and being alert, I get real sick. So I fell behind on some of that stuff. So I have decided that for this, what we're going to do is I've got a lot of first impressions ready, because I've played enough of the games to know whether or not I would recommend them, and out of those I've sort of picked the ones that I'll be recommending that you maybe keep an eye out for if you see a Black Friday sale or a Cyber Monday sale, or just, you know, something as like an early gift guide preview. So a lot of the things here will probably end up on the final gift guide when we discuss them. It's just that at this exact point in time, I haven't done, you know, enough play to do like a full-blown review, which again may come down the line, but enough that I'm able to recommend them and just give, you know, not a brief review, but a brief synopsis of my experiences with each. I may as well start out with something that's a little bit more of a traditional review, and this is going to be more of a long-form discussion, you know, where everything flows together. We're not having multiple segments here. It's just sort of free flow discussing, you know, some of the items. We'll put all the links in the show description. I'm not sure if they'll all hit the Spreaker description that we have through our pod host, because sometimes if you have too many links, I've noticed it doesn't always go through. So if you don't see it in the description of whatever podcast that you're watching, podcatcher, what you'll probably see then, if it has any issues, is a link to go to our website's post for it, where we'll obviously have all of the links for it. But for the most part, fingers crossed that they'll be able to show up in here. The first thing, like I said, I want to talk about is the Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Now, instead of doing a traditional full-blown review, we've sort of been scattered to the winds when it comes to review coverage. I was able to play before I got sick. I basically mastered the campaign. I ended up going back and playing levels multiple times to get different outcomes, because there are a few different ways you can approach pretty much every level within it. And Birdman is, as you know, is usually the multiplayer expert. For multiplayer discussion and coverage, you'll hear that on our final gift guide. So we're sort of breaking up the review instead of doing a longer form prototype episode. We're sort of breaking it up into impressions. Now, I have not had a chance to play multiplayer as, again, I was super, super sick. And same with zombies and that. We're sort of going to be playing that as we go. But I can say this, it's the strongest campaign in at least a decade. I was a big fan of Cold War, from the multiple paths that you could take at the end and sort of explorable areas where you could find secrets like the little arcade machines that would show back up at your home base, certain things there. This is the best they've ever done with having the hub. So the idea is you have a home base that after every mission you can explore, go around. There's secrets to unlock within, puzzles, as well as upgrades to the base that can then upgrade your character. They've RPGified the elements a little bit by incorporating perks and things within the single player campaign. There's money to earn by going through missions and finding safes to unlock and the little items and things spread out throughout, chests to open and stuff. And it gives replayability, more of an emphasis on in the single player than they've done in previous years. The acting is good. The storyline is good. There's been a lot more care put into the single player campaign than, Cold War had it pretty good, but I feel this is a better representation of a campaign than anything, obviously, since the Modern Warfare 2019 remake. And that, again, that was sort of based on the original script and altered. As far as a continuation of having a good storyline, it is a good continuation on from Cold War. And again, this is probably, as far as single player campaigns, definitely in the top 5, maybe even top 3 of the Call of Duty campaigns, period. It's that good, and it's not going to be beaten immediately. And what's immediately noticeable, though, is each of the main missions, for the most part, use different gameplay elements and different gameplay styles, and the loop is different for each. So replayability of them is interesting because you can decide that I liked this style of mission and go back and play it. For instance, there is one that you do in the desert that is very reminiscent of the clearing the board style that was done in Cold War's Zombies Outbreak mode, which was interesting. And had a variety of missions and stuff to complete. And it almost feels like what they hoped to achieve when they were doing the Modern Warfare 3 sandbox levels, only those were admittedly very lazy and everybody hated them. This is curated and pieced together with, prestige and just overall oozes, competency, if that makes any sense. Solid voice acting, good guest characters are included. The gameplay feels tight and concise. I don't think the new Omni movement stuff, at least for the single player campaign, was super necessary for every mission at all. The only time I really used it was a couple mission areas where you had to sneak around, and I found it was really neat how you could sort of sit on your bum and crawl and shuffle around behind and forward. So I used it for 1 or 2 instances, but it wasn't as critical as I was worried it would be, because I'm not a pro FPS player, right? I'm playing it mostly for story and then occasionally for fun with friends. And I felt that it was pretty good. Is it a good entry point for people? If you're looking for a single player campaign that's an entry point, no. You can play it, obviously. It's nothing stopping you. I feel that before you play the campaign, if this is what you're looking for, a campaign, before you play the campaign here within Black Ops 6, you do need to play the Black Ops Cold War campaign. You don't have to have played anything previous to that, because I didn't before playing Cold War, but you do need to know the storyline from Cold War to get into this, to really to really feel for it and feel for the characters. So I would say go and do that if you can, and then play this. But it's by far one of the most solid, first-person shooter story campaigns I've played in a very long time. Highly recommend. This is from somebody who has been disappointed with the last several releases of Call of Duty. This is a great release, and it's on Game Pass if you're playing it on Xbox. I would say it's still going to be good if you play it on PlayStation or other platforms, but if you're on the fence about it and you happen to have Xbox, check it out on there. Beyond that, other things that I've had a chance to check out for our holiday gift guide that you might want to look for when it comes to Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales. There's actually a few things. I'll start with actually some interesting things that aren't games. We were sent some toys that we usually get to look at. I'll put links in the description because some of them, it's like, I'm not a major toy reviewer, but I do think they're kind of neat. We've got some like digital interactive pet toys that you might want to check out. We've got some board games and different things that we're probably going to make the final list, and I've just sort of had a chance to crack into them. So I'm not going into details here, but I'll have links in the description for you. There's also some stuffed animals that we were sent. There was like some Pokemon stuff, some Hello Kitty stuffed animal toys. Very well made, very interesting stuff that you'll want to, pick up for kids. Interestingly enough, I think I've decided what I'm going to do, because I received a Charmander and a little punk Hello Kitty. And I was like, what am I going to do with these? And I'm giving them to my brother's cat and dog as like little buddy friend toys, because I found out that they love stuffed animals. They don't destroy them. They actually like will drag them from room to room and like watch TV or look outside the window with them as if they're like their actual friends. They have some other stuffed animals that they do that with, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe that's what it's going to be. So even if it's not just for the collector or for the kid out there, they might be something that for the pet friends out there. So we've got some stuff like that. I've also been sent a couple vacuums in the Tinaco line. We talked about them last year when we received one. This year they sent two different ones that are of different price classes. We have the Floor S3 and the Floor S5 Extreme. And I've had a chance to just test them out briefly because, again, very sick for a while, so I wasn't able to do much. But they're the ones that do like the wet mopping and vacuuming of hardwood and flat and sealed surfaces. So I've had a chance to check out both. Honestly, there's a price difference in them depending on if they're on sale or not, of about $50 to $100. Again, depends on the sales, and major differences between them. Mostly just that the 5 has larger storage capacity, slightly better screen, slightly better, slightly upgraded materials, nothing dramatic. And the price point seems about right when it comes to the differences between them. But you're pretty solid if you go with either or. What I did with the S3 is I was using that in my apartment. My apartment has, on the kitchen, regular kitchen tile, and then it's a basement apartment of a multi-level building, and the rest of our flooring, would obviously be cement underneath because we're in the bottom floor, but on top of it is like a wood grain sort of, but it's a tile. And I was able to use it on that surface, no problem. Very solid vacuum / floor cleaner, mop cleaner, steam cleaner, whatever you want to call it. They work quite well. They're compact. They run for about 30 to 35 minutes on a charge, which is way more time than you need to clean most surfaces. Now the S5 Extreme, that one, I'm actually, I've opened it, tried it out, but I'm bringing it over to my mom's because she has more different types of surface areas to clean with, and we'll try it there. Solid ideas if you're looking for like sort of high tech, but still pretty darn affordable overall when you consider the cost of vacuum cleaners and appliances like that. Pretty good. So I'll put links in the description here. Those are probably going to make our holiday gift guide something to consider that's a little different, that I know for sure is having Black Friday and deal sales on. I think like some of them are like on their website are like $50 to $100 off the regular price. So something to consider there. Again, I'll put links in the description for that. Beyond that, there's some other kind of neat stuff that you might want to consider. We've covered the Instax cameras from Fujifilm before. We've got another one in that's going to be in our gift guide here that is sort of a hybrid camera. It's got not just that it takes a picture and prints automatically, but it takes a picture, and if you have an SD card, it can save it like a regular digital camera to it that you can then send to your phone or do anything with, or print to it from your phone. It's a little more advanced than the previous ones we've covered. So that I want to play around with a little more, but it so far it's been pretty good. And I'm trying to think what else as far as things that aren't gaming or movie related. That is pretty much it as far as what I've covered so far. I might have a few more items to go through now that I'm starting to feel a little better. Oh yeah, there was some stuff from Playmobil that we've had a chance to look at that it should be pretty fun for families. I'll put a link in the description. It's like a hockey rink arena, which is pretty neat, and it's not too big and it doesn't take up too much space, and but it still seems like it's a pretty well built, fun little toy for families. So that's something to maybe keep an eye out for some of the products from them. Same with we didn't get sent it this year, but it's similar in the same line. We talked last year about the TMNT toys that, you know, there was a whole line of them that we were looking at. Similarly, there's more stuff this year from that. Also to consider that there's toys TMNT from, you know, all the popularity of the new movie and TV show and everything. And we talked about the game previously that came out recently. So there's some cool stuff there. Now, as far as movies, I've got a bunch of stuff from 88 Films to look at that we'll probably have some individual reviews for in a little bit. I will mention here one particular item that came in that I did have a chance to watch because I had to watch something that was like sort of lighthearted and a little more down to earth that I didn't need too much brain power with, and that's King of Queens. And Mill Creek had sent over the King of Queens Blu-ray set. It's the entire show with a whole bunch of special features that they've added, you know, that for individual seasons that are on there. It comes in 2 of the thicker multi-disc Amaray blue cases within a cardboard slip box, similar to what you'll see from other major companies releasing it. And it was the King of Queens set. I hadn't seen that show in years, and say what you will, about that traditional sitcom style. That's one of the last shows that I feel worked great with that whole studio system the way it was. It was funny. It worked. It's in high definition. It's probably the first time I've seen the show in high def with surround sound and everything on it. And it sounds great. It looks great. It's funny. If you're looking for something to pick up, check out that or some other stuff from, you know, Mill Creek. They've put out some pretty good releases over the last year. We've also got like a bunch of Ultraman stuff that I'm looking at right now because they've still continuing on with that line of all the Ultraman things, and each one of them ends up coming with like collectible cards, which is kind of neat. That's a new thing that they're doing. But yeah, check out the King of Queens box set. I think it's pretty sweet. Good deal as far as value wise, what you get. High quality release, you know, fun stuff. Again, if you're thinking of gifts for, you know, your parents, you can't really go wrong with, you know, late 90s, early 2000s sitcoms. It's something to think about there. Or if you're a younger listener, maybe your grandparents. I had a good time with it. It was something to heal me while I was not feeling well whatsoever. So other games that I want to sort of highlight. We talked about Call of Duty. I have also had the chance to check out a bunch of titles. We had some stuff come in from EA. We had some stuff come in from a whole bunch of different companies like Sega. But what I wanted to say right now is I had a chance to check out Topspin 2K25. You probably heard me mention that on This Week in Geek's regular main show this week. And I had a pretty good time with that. I would say if you're into sports titles, if you're into tennis and that, it's pretty solid, I'd say overall. I know that there's been like NBA and other titles and from 2K come out this year, but the one I think that you probably shouldn't like skip or skim over is Topspin, because it's a franchise that has sort of just come back swinging. And if you're looking for something a little different, that's a little bit different sports, but still fun and has that arcadey feel, that's one I would keep an eye out for if you're looking for sales. Beyond that, let me see here. What do I have in my I've got a big list of games. There has been a new Just Dance that came out. We had a chance to sort of check it out. My review is pretty simple for it. It's that if you like Just Dance, you'll like this one. It's very similar in that it's using a launcher, same as last year and the year before. And then what it does is it gives you access to a set amount of songs. They are not downloaded directly, so you do require an internet connection to play. So it's pretty much the same as last year, a decent roster. All the gameplay is the same. It's sort of a legacy game at this point where, you know, not much innovation is happening. They're just licensing new songs and some slightly new dances. And for that case, it works. It's fine. It's complete. It's a completely fine game. There's nothing super fancy about it, but it works. So, because of that, you know, that's really going to be what my little review is here. Outside of that, we did have some stuff from Kensington come in, a whole bunch. I've probably talked about some of it in the past a little bit, but like we had a multi-device wireless keyboard, a collapsible aluminum laptop riser, as well as the Profit My 630 EQ mouse. I've talked about those in the past. They're rechargeable mice. Very solid stuff. They've also sent over a waterproof, or not waterproof, like a water-resistant keyboard mouse set that's wired set. Obviously, you can't get the USB submerged like the actual connector, but everything else is good. Pretty solid stuff. Good gift ideas for people. We talked about laptop sleeves from them in the past. That was over. That's going to be in the gift guide as well. There are some pretty cool docks that they've sent. There's a USB-C dock, which I will put in the description here. And there is a Thunderbolt dock that is made specifically that works great with the newest Apple laptops that are the M4 based CPUs. Like, it's designed to work driverless with them. So the USB-C dock is pretty cool in that it's driverless as well. It it connects in. It can provide power pass through to devices. So basically, you plug it into the wall, pass through. All the bells and whistles when it comes to connectivity. Solid. It's got some weight to it. It'll be, great to connect to a laptop. It's also going to work with any PC that happens to have a USB-C port, which is more often than not very many now, or even with an add-in card. I'll probably at some point bring it over to Birdman's place so he can check it out to see if it's something that he would like to use with his laptop. If that's the case, it's his. But these are the kind of things that you have to consider when you're getting holiday gifts for people now, is that most laptops and PCs have less connectivity built in. They might have one or two USB ports. They might have something on the back, unless you're paying a lot of money. Laptops generally have less ports now to maintain thinness, durability, cheapness, and all that sort of stuff, like value, at least for the dollar. And they sort of expect you to have either a docking station or a port replicator or something afterwards. And that's fine, as USB is getting faster and faster with like USB 4 or Thunderbolt ports and all that. So it makes sense. And Kensington tends to make some of the best stuff in the market value-wise, with their warranties, durability, and all that. So that is something to consider. It's something great to, maybe keep an eye out for sale-wise when it comes to computer hardware. Look up a bunch of the different Kensington things. Now, I will mention that I've had a chance to check out Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Previously in the year we talked about it review-wise. I've had a chance to look at it. It'll be making our holiday gift guide. Other stuff that we were sent from Square Enix to check out is the Dragon Quest III HD 2D game, which I have a review this week in this week's show that you'll have listened to hopefully by now. And the other games that we've had a chance to check out that just I didn't get a chance to do full reviews of, that as far as my impressions are concerned. I played Saga Emerald Beyond, which was pretty good, but it still felt kind of like it's like a mobile game that was translated onto console. It's a little bit more in depth than that, but I've had a pretty good time with it. If you've liked the previous Saga titles in the past, it might be something to check out. Keep an eye out again, holidays, when it comes to gift guides, we might be including that. Same goes for Visions of Mana. And currently right now I'm working through 2 Square Enix titles that we might get full reviews for. It depends on timing wise, but I want to make sure that you keep an eye out for them. And that's Life is Strange Double Exposure, and Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven. I'm sort of jumping between now that I'm back to the world of the living and not sick, that I can actually focus on more in-depth games. So keep an eye out on them. I'm enjoying myself so far with them. They're obviously very different when it comes to genre, but I do think that they're worth checking out. Same with, we have the Pixel remasters. I personally had played them earlier in the year. We were sent copies of that. So, they're perfectly fine. They're fun. They're available on pretty much every platform now. It's Final Fantasy. You know what's up, basically. I also am looking at playing titles from EA. We've had some racing titles come in. I'll be looking at some of those. We'll see if I do larger reviews. If not, check out the description here. There's some pretty solid releases lately from them. Now, outside of that, we've also got a bunch of... let me think. I've got EA Sports titles. I was checking out NHL 25. It's been a while since I played an NHL game. Pretty solid release, honestly. I'm generally impressed when it comes to sports titles that aren't Madden or what was traditionally FIFA. And the monetization isn't as harsh or as extreme as what you see in the 2K sports releases. EA's done a little bit of a better job that way. So, in that sense, great. If you're into sports titles, great. It's not going to necessarily sway you, but again, keep an eye out for the sports fan out there. And the final one that I've got that I've just sort of cracked into and haven't had a super, huge time to play it yet, but I'm sort of juggling it in, and that is Sonic X Shadow Generations. I played only Generations briefly when it came out, very, very briefly. Didn't have a chance to really dig deep into it, and I'm having a pretty good time here. I haven't gotten so far in with the shadow sections yet, but it's a pretty good time. I think we're kind of approaching, that higher quality Sonic releases again. It's been a while. There's always a worry when it comes to the 3D Sonic that it's just either not going to hit or not going to hit right. And I think they're kind of doing the right thing here. They've done a pretty good job with it. I'm having a good time so far. Full review might come later. If not, still going to be on our gift guide, I think, because we're sort of having a bit of a renaissance when it comes to family titles and things that are, more all ages. We saw with Astro, we've seen with the new Lego Horizon game. And then, we come back with a Sonic game when he's at the height of his popularity again. We've got the new movie coming out, obviously with Shadow. That's why they did this as a sort of a tie-in. But, I'm having a good time so far. Controls are pretty good. Visuals pretty good. Keep an eye out. There's a bunch of Sega stuff that has just been great this year. Like a Dragon was great. They're on a high note, I think, right now when it comes to their creativity. And then we still haven't even seen what's coming next from them with their revivals of old franchises. So I guess we're going to see what happens later on, but don't sleep on Sonic. This is a pretty good release. I do think that people are going to have a a pretty darn good time. I know there's some other stuff that is being worked on by Ken and by Mike. I know we might get reviews from Ken on Euphoria, the Saga 2, that is one of the retro titles that has sort of been revived with a new game of the franchise. The game was already out for a while, but it was a code that we were sent, for consideration when it comes to giving gift ideas for people. Same goes for Goblin Slayer, another adventurer, Nightmare Feast. I've been sort of working my way through that. I'm a big Goblin Slayer fan, so I've been playing that, having a pretty good time. I do think it's worth checking out, so maybe give that a chance if you're, unsure and thinking, hey, is it going to be any good? Yeah, I think it's pretty good so far. It's not like the greatest game out there, but I do think it's fun, and if you can get it on a deal, it's worth it. As well as something else that I thought I was going to do a full review of. I might still do a full review of, but just in case not, I want to mention here is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I was super hyped for it. Obviously, I did that interview with CBC Radio talking about it. I had a good time with the game, but I'm a little underwhelmed at the story was not, the script was not as good. It was not up to par with the first three. And then taking into account just the visuals were absolutely amazing, except for the characters, which is weird because they just didn't look right. They didn't look finished. And luckily you're not looking really at them very much when you're out in the world doing missions and stuff. It just felt off that way. I had a good time playing it, and I might have to go back in and redo certain things just to see how I feel about it. But overall, I had a good time. It's just, I didn't have a BioWare is back good time. I had this is a good game if somebody was trying to make a BioWare style game, but it's just missing that little pinch of extra that makes it over the top. That being said, I do think it's a great game to play, and I do think a lot of people will have fun with it. So, if it's on sale, pick it up. If you're a super fan, you probably already have it. If you're somebody who is unsure of whether or not you're going to like it or not, can you jump in without having played the previous ones? I think it might play better even to people that haven't played the previous three, as this could be your entry point to it. It does do fan servicey stuff when it comes to bringing up certain people or bringing up past events that will benefit if you've played it previously. But if you have not played it previously, it's not like you're going to miss too much with this. And so, like, if I were to say order of play, if you're a brand new person to the franchise, I would say start with Veilguard. Then I would say jump back and do 1, 2, and 3 in that order. And that sort of I would say the best game in the franchise was probably Inquisition, even though I played Origins more. But I would say it's probably order of how great they are would be Inquisition, then Origin, then Veilguard, then 2. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just 2 was very divisive, and 2 was really mostly incomplete when you think about it. So, good time with it. That's my sort of preview with it. That's pretty much going to be it for this episode. Just some ideas to think about when you're doing your shopping. Have your turkey meals, our friends in America. For anybody else that has like Black Friday sales and Cyber Monday sales everywhere, keep an eye out for these items. If you see them on sale, they're for the most part a pretty good deal, worth picking up. And as I said, I'll probably have some more reviews a little later on when it comes to some of the larger games that I mentioned here, if I get a chance to before we go on our hiatus. If not, you'll just sort of hear us talk a bit about them more in the holiday gift guide. But this is sort of your pre-holiday gift guide, early Black Friday. Keep your eye out. special, whatever you want to call this episode. That's pretty much what this has been. Just Alex rambles a little bit talking about some of the items he was sent and says, hey, keep an eye out for these when they're on special during the holiday season. Don't sleep on them. Thanks for listening and thanks for being here and listening to me and letting me ramble, letting me be myself, because, oh my God, am I happy to not be sick anymore. Knock on wood, smack my head, make sure that I'm feeling good as we get into the holiday season. We'll be back next week with a regular episode of the show right here at ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@ThisWeekInGeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.